Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets on what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Okay, we're into day 3. Day 3 is all about shifting from scarcity to abundance and recognizing the connection that self-worth has with regards to our money, as well as self-trust. And we're going to explore the frequencies of wealth, because when it comes to shifting out of scarcity to abundance, there are a few steps. And I wanted to talk these through because sometimes what can happen is we do a little bit of money mindset work and then we're like, yeah, we're all good. And then we realize that actually, no, the money is still not flowing in and we haven't really shifted through to this next level of trust with money. We haven't really elevated our level of worthiness and we still experience self-sabotaging behaviors. We still have caps that cause us to retract back into our safe, familiar space. And if that space is struggle, scarcity, struggling to basically create wealth and hold on to wealth, that's absolutely coming back to a level of worthiness. So let's explore it. So in the first episode, we talked a little bit about understanding the scarcity activation, right? When we experience this feeling of scarcity in our body, our nervous system activates, our amygdala activates, and we go into a fight or flight response. Once we shift out of that fight or flight response and we shift more into neutrality, and we practice neutrality when it comes to money, we want to acknowledge anytime that we're interacting with money about how we feel. When we recognize how we feel when we're interacting with money, that means like when you're spending it, when you're receiving it, when you're circulating it, you're investing it, like all these different experiences that we have with money on a daily basis. When we pay attention to our nervous system, our body, and we feel and we understand the connections and associations we have with money, we can start to explore a new relationship with it. Then we must shift from recognizing that safety does not come from money. This is where we're shifting into neutrality, because safety technically does not come from the feeling of safety that you have when you look at the amount of money sitting on that screen in your bank account or the amount of money sitting in your wallet and you go, oh, I feel safe now, because that's what happens, right? And that shifts us out of the fight or flight response because we feel at ease with the amount of money because we know we can take care of ourselves evolutionarily. We can pay for our bills. We can put food on the table. We can pay for our rent, roof over our heads, all the things, right? But often we are very much wired to believe that money is a form of safety. And if we can start to recognize that safety is a feeling that we generate based on what we tell ourselves, right? The story that we have in our minds and the thoughts that we have about the numbers on the screen, about the money in our wallet, right? So you can absolutely create a feeling of safety within your body. And you can do that by remembering a time when you felt really safe and notice where in your body you feel that. And then breathe into that space and feel that level of safety on a deeper level. Once we do that, that's when we can start to recognize that safety is not created externally to ourselves, it's created internally. So we want to acknowledge that first, and then we can start leveling up and starting to build trust with the universe. So my next suggestion would be to test the universe. As much as we want to recognize that our thoughts become things, often we still have a lot of a skepticism about it. And the more that we go and build this relationship with the universe of how we get to be supported by the universe and that there is a universal abundance available to us. So there are plenty of blades of grass on the ground, water in the ocean, grains of sand at the beach. We recognize that nature is full of abundance, but we get so stuck in the scarcity because we believe that we're not enough. So I want you to start paying attention now to more abundance that's already available to you. Now, you could also do a little scan around your current location and look at how much money is currently available to you in your world, right? So if you're in your office, the amount of money that your laptop cost, you look at all around the room, the different types of furniture that you have, like the fact that you have access to electricity, the fact that you have access to clean drinking water, to air conditioning or heating, to Wi-Fi, like all of these forms of abundance exist already in your life. But often what we do when we're in a state of scarcity is we ignore them and we don't pay attention to them because we neglect them because we're like, oh, but I need money to survive, right? But for us to get out of that state of scarcity and to start building that trust with the universe, We want to start paying attention to the current availability that we have and the amount of abundance that's currently here. Now, another way to do this would be to do your net worth. And this is a really fun activity to do, is actually look at what you are currently worth, where your net worth is, and adding up everything from how your house, your car, all the assets that you have, like building up your net worth and looking at that and being like, hey, I'm not lacking in abundance right now. I have abundance. I'm just going through a low point with money. I'm just going through a lack of cash flow, right? So we want to recognize that and pull ourselves out of the scarcity so we can start to pay attention to the abundance, because the more we pay attention to the abundance, the more we're available to it. Because when you're in a state of scarcity, you are in a frequency of scarcity. And when you're in a frequency of scarcity, the universe will send you, based on the law of attraction, it will send you more of that. So if you want to have abundance, you've got to get into the frequency of abundance. And we can do that through gratitude. The more we sit in gratitude of abundance that already exists in our world, the more we attract more of it. So we can do that through paying attention to the abundance, sitting in as much gratitude, and I mean feeling it. You can't just think grateful thoughts. You've got to actually feel it. So a little activity you could simply do is sit with, your journal first thing in the morning, first thing in the evening before you go to bed, and write down things that you're grateful for, but make sure that when you do that, you actually sit in a state of gratitude. If you don't sit in a state of gratitude, it's a waste of time. Like honestly, a complete waste of time. If you don't move it from your head down into your heart and feel the feeling of gratitude, or appreciation is another one that's very closely connected to gratitude, but sometimes people find it easier to feel appreciative than they do to feel grateful. That's totally fine. It's just a shift in language. So sitting in that is absolutely the next step. Then from there, you want to shift into a state of worthiness. So what I've just taken you through first now here are the 3 stages of the frequencies of wealth. The first one is scarcity. The second one is safety. The third one is abundance. The fourth one is trust. Only can we pay attention to the amount of abundance and how much we are supported. Sorry, I skipped a bit. I want you to test the universe. So I want you to ask for something from the universe, simple and easy. Like, don't go crazy and be like, I'd love $1,000 or I'd love $1 million. Like, don't do that. We want to shift away from money to begin with first, and we want to pay attention to the universal abundance. So I want you to ask for something. It could be a specific color of a feather. It could be a coin. It could be a specific compliment. Like, think about something of abundance that would represent abundance for you, and ask the universe, in the next 24 to 48 hours, can you please send me a coin, a gold coin that has some other marking on it that really stands out to me, that is like, wow, look how supported I am. I asked for it and it is given. I want you to do that and notice it, because when you do that, it is very hard to ignore how supported we are. And I absolutely love doing this, because honestly, like, I'm just like you. I absolutely get into states of scarcity and I get affected by it. And then I do these activities and it just reminds me of like, holy shit, like how crazy the amount of times where I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to find that money. And then all of a sudden I find that money and I'm like, how did that happen? I cannot explain it. It's only going to be universal support, right? And you could replace the word universe with God, with any other type of religion, like whatever feels right for you, whatever you believe in. That's all it needs to be, right? It doesn't have to be like, if the universe, when I'm using that terminology, if that feels wrong for you, that's okay. You choose what feels right for you. Okay. So once we then step into that state of abundance, we want to start to build trust with money, which is step 4, right? Trusting money that it is, one, we're always universally supported. 2, that money is a relationship that we have. We've got to build trust with it. And a lot of the times we've built a lot of distrust with money. And that means a lot of distrust with ourselves. So if we can't trust ourselves with money, that's an issue. So if you find yourself spending as soon as it comes in, if you find yourself justifying and just getting rid of money, if you feel like you can't be trusted with a lot of money, like, that is absolutely the root core of what we need to shift in order for you to feel, right, more at ease with receiving more. So in the trust phase, we've got to learn to manage money better with grace and ease. And we've got to build trust in our own ability to make, manage, and attract more money. So we test the universe and then we start stepping into trust. When we practice the vibration of trust and knowing that, of course, it's already on our way to us, we're completely stepping away from scarcity, because scarcity is focusing on the lack, whereas trust is focusing on that I'm just in the in-between, right? It's already on its way to me. I've already asked for it. I'm already worthy of it. And now I just need to wait and be patient, and I'm trusting. Another analogy that I've often used in the past is like when you go to a restaurant and you put your order in with the waiter. You send the order back with the waiter takes it into the kitchen, and the chef now prepares it, and often prepares it so much better than you would have ever thought, especially if you go to a beautiful restaurant, right? Like often when we go to a restaurant, we want to buy things that we've never experienced before, or we want to pay someone else to cook it because they're better at cooking than we are. And so they're going in and they're putting all these beautiful ingredients in it and creating this incredible dish, and then we'll bring it back out to the table. But in the in-between, when you're sitting at the table waiting for that to be cooked, you're not sitting there going, oh, is it going to come? Like, I don't think it's ever going to come. Like I'm sitting here and I'm waiting. It's never going to come. Like I don't think I'm ever going to be worthy of receiving that meal. Like you're not sitting there in complete focus on the lack of the fact that I'm sitting here and there's no meal in front of me. You recognize that it will take time, and you're trusting that it's just a matter of time before the waiter walks back out with this incredible dish that you'll get to eat. That's the energy that I want you to sit in with regards to trust, right? Trust that it's on its way to you, and then you want to act as if. The more we act as if, the more you're telling your universe that you absolutely expect it to come to you. So I also do this with launches. I do this with anything that I'm creating for my business. We want to recognize that as we're developing this level of trust and we're acting as if, there's also going to be action steps that we're taking. So the money mindset is there's no or the frequency or the spiritual side of things when it comes to personal development. It's not like we're sitting there and just being like, oh, I just feel good and everything just happens for me. No, we're taking action based on inspiration. So when we feel like, okay, I want to go build this out, I'm acting as if that's coming to me. I'm preparing for that new client to come and work with me. I'm preparing for this to go viral. I'm preparing for this program to sell out. Like when you're in that preparation phase, you're acting as if, of course, that's going to happen. So the more that you step into that trust, it helps support the next stage of the frequencies of wealth, which then comes into number 5, which is the giving and receiving. We want to balance the masculine and feminine energies, which is giving and receiving. And the more we work on our nervous system capacity to open ourselves up to more. So when we step into this phase, often we recognize that we're either stuck in one or the other. We're either in the feminine energy, where we're in the rest and receive, where in the trusting, but maybe we haven't built out the structures in the masculine. So the masculine is the doing, is the taking the action, the sales activities, the structures, making sure that you're managing your money, looking at your bank accounts, going through all of that. We want to balance out both. Or sometimes if we're too hard in our masculine, we're in the push energy, we're not trusting and we're not resting because we feel like we have to push and we have to hustle and we have to go, right? That's when we're stuck in our masculine and we haven't trusted the feminine. So we've got to balance the feminine and the masculine in order for us to be able to open ourselves up to receiving more. And this is where we start to weave in a little bit more of the nervous system capacity work. So then our nervous system feels safe at receiving at the next level. So as we start to expand, we start to see more abundance flow in and we're trusted with more, which then starts to activate more worthiness blocks. So the next phase, number 6, is worthiness. As you step into higher levels of impact, of visibility, of wealth, of leadership, you are going to activate your insecurities about who you are as a person. You are going to activate wounds where you around worthiness that make you feel like you're not good enough, or not good enough to hold more levels of wealth or visibility or leadership. And so this is where we get activated, and it's time to recognize this and go, okay, I need to work on more of my worthiness wound. The next one is as we step into shifting more of that lack in the worthiness of the doubt or the fear that we're not enough, and we step into believing that we're more than enough. Some of this is education too. Some of this is actually building that trust with yourself that you're good with money and you can be better with money and managing it and circulating it. And then we step into vision and manifestation. This is about having a bigger vision for money. And as we start to step into these next 2 phases, the last 2, we start to recognize that it's less about money because we've moved so much further away from scarcity. We're now into building out more of a mission and a vision, and we're stepping into contributing and stepping into recognizing that it's about more than just money. Money is just a tool that we use to support our lives. It's about connecting your values to your bigger vision and going, well, I can manifest more. I can attract more money. What am I going to do with it? Because if I've got available abundance in all these forms, what do I really want to do with it? What's my legacy and what do I want to leave behind? Because you start to see this with people who are more wealthy, right? They start to give back. They start to look at new ways to spend their life. And because it's not about money anymore. And that's ideally where we want to get to, that we have more of an abundance of money flowing in, and then we can start to look at vision and impact. And then we step into the last phase, which is the stage 8, which is overflow and being unattached. This is a beautiful state when we're stepping into overflow again, like we've got more, we're stepping into serving in a higher purpose, and it was never about the money. And we learn to be so unattached because we're like, why did I let so much of my thoughts and behaviors and actions every day be so surrounded by money? And that's just scarcity, right? And we can have this new level of trust and belief in the universe and support from the universe to be like, wow, it's so much more than just money. Now, we are going to oscillate between all of these until we start to work on it further, and we're spending less time in our thoughts and in our feelings, in our vibration, in the lower states, right? So when we're stuck in scarcity, looking for safety, not believing in the abundance that's available to us, not trusting ourselves or trusting money, we're in the lower states of our frequencies of wealth. And this can start to be hard to move up, right? Because again, we've got to be continuously working on ourselves to upgrade our belief systems, upgrade our surroundings, upgrade our environment. And the less time we spend in that scarcity mindset, which then it creates a scarcity frequency, the easier it is to then move up, right? And so we want to recognize that this is a process and it's not going to happen overnight. And clients do not jump from step 2 to step 6. Like, we always recognize we're coming back down and having new ways of expanding our belief systems about trust. And we're starting to build new relationships with money. And we're starting to learn to give and receive. And we're balancing the masculine and feminine. We're stepping into new states of worthiness. So we want to recognize, like, where am I at right now? And then that helps to understand, okay, what do I need to work on here in order for me to continue to move up? All right. So a lot of this is really stemming from a lot of worthiness, right? So one of the biggest themes, as I've shared through these frequencies of wealth, is a state of worthiness. You have to first believe that you are worthy of more. You have to first believe that you are deserving of wealth in any form. And even if the word wealth triggers something within you, even recognizing that, right? Because sometimes we just don't have the vocabulary around money, and then we get stuck in the scarcity states because we're still thinking about money from a place of scarcity in the language that we use, the vocabulary that we use, right? And so the more that we can acknowledge that every stage of this is a stage of worthiness, a belief in our ability to receive and hold and manage and circulate more, our belief in ourselves deserving that we are more than worthy of more. Because as we even explore this, you will have belief systems that are limiting around what it means to be wealthy, what rich people do and don't do, and who they are as people, of what it means to have a lot of money, and recognizing, like, if any of those thoughts that you have that come up straight away, as I mentioned that, if they are preventing you from believing that you deserve more, or that you will avoid it, or that you will repel it, that's the next piece of work, right? You are more than worthy to receive more. Money does not make you a bad person. Money is just a tool that we utilize on a regular basis. And you are more deserving than any other person on the planet. Like, every single person that is born and exists right here, right now, is worthy of being multi-billionaire. You are. And often we get caught up in our heads not believing that we are, but we are. And so the more that you can lean into that sense of worthiness and the feeling of worthiness, the more that you will open yourself up to trusting more, the more that you'll open yourself up to learning more and then receiving more. Because any time that I see self-sabotaging behaviors show up for a lot of my clients is because deep down subconsciously, they don't believe that they're deserving of having more. So it feels uncomfortable to have wealth within their bank accounts, and they literally get rid of it. Like, get rid of it so fast. And there's always a reason, always a justification. And honestly, we've got to come back to believing that you are worthy of receiving it, you're worthy of holding it, you're worthy of having overflow and more than excess, right? And even that sense of excess for a lot of women feels really uncomfortable. A lot of women come back to being, well, I only need this amount, and we justify that we don't need any more, or we shouldn't have to want any more. And that's, again, a lot of limiting beliefs around money. So I know this was a lot of information, so I'm going to leave you with that here. And then tomorrow we'll dive in a little bit deeper. But I want you just to let all of these words just sink in and allow them just to resonate with you, and maybe listen to this episode a couple of times, because it all comes back to your worthiness and your trust and your belief that there is more than enough to go around. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at @ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.